Hello and welcome back to MUFC Realist TV this afternoon. It is Tuesday and we have a jam-packed show and we have a very special guest to introduce. He's back. He's back for the second time. We're talking about Jacque Talbot, and we're going to talk about the latest development regarding Dan Ashworth and Newcastle. Are they holding Dan Ashworth for ransom? Will Manchester United pay the ransom fee? But also the big development plans regarding Manchester United's summer transfer window with the potential structure, Omar Barada, Dan Ashworth, and who's going to be their head of recruitment. There's a lot of things we're going to talk about, but I want to bring to the stage. We are currently sponsored by ourselves. This is the MUFC.Realist TV. Did I say it wrong? MUFC.Realist.TV website that was just launched this weekend. And here is a one-stop shop for you football enthusiasts and lovers. You have all the latest news, videos, podcast, Premier League tables and fixtures, player rating, and lineup builder, and plenty more. But sit tight, buckle up, because we will be back with Jacque Talbot in 10 seconds. Here we go. It's showtime.
Welcome back to MUFC Realist TV and Beat the Press. Please stay tuned to find out these top stories with your host, Mick Ruby. Welcome to Beat the Press. Here we go.
Okay, let's go. Jacque Talbot, you are back. How are you doing, Jacque?
I'm very well. How are you?
Oh, not too bad. Not too bad with everything that's going on regarding Manchester United. Can't complain. Excited. You know what I mean? It's a lot of people were saying Manchester United, everyone is getting scared because we are getting a rebuild, proper structure in. And for 10 years, we have been a sleeping giant. But what's your general take, regarding the Manchester United and the latest Dan Ashworth stories? Because people that don't know, you are a football transfer journalist, right? And you're also a Newcastle supporter, correct?
Yeah, part-time Newcastle supporter at the moment. But
yes.
Yeah.
Why part-time?
Well, I was just my relationship with football's just gone out the window recently. I don't know, but yeah, I mean, with Newcastle, we've had him. I think it was a few months after our takeover, he came in as our sporting director, and we've had 3 windows under Ashworth. He most of his deals have been very much under the radar. Not necessarily Tonali and Harvey Barnes and stuff, but what I noticed as a Newcastle fan is the deals, even post-transfer window, a youngster will come in, a highly rated. We signed someone over January from Man City. I think it was Alfie Harrison. I think his name was.
Alfie Harrison, yeah.
Yeah, so those sort of deals are the ones that are very much of Ashworth, very much tapping into the domestic market, getting the sort of brightest young talent for the future, which is also, you can sort of see why Ineos would want someone like that, because apparently Ratcliffe's very much about getting young English talent in as well. Obviously, Ashworth did very well at Brighton as well, and at West Brom, and I think he was a PE teacher before. So, yeah, it remains to be seen. From a Newcastle fan perspective, it's sour to have someone defect, to another club, especially someone who knows Newcastle's secrets and knows what we're about. It's not the healthiest, so it's relatively problematic. But I suspect we'll get someone else in. Quite large.
Yeah. And that's what I want to dive right into, because I've been scanning the Twitters, or X, what you call it, or media, and I've been seeing different reports that Newcastle fans are getting really pissed off in certain ways, and that kind of tells me that we are actually getting the best in the business at the moment. He's not all about the recruitment, is he? Because as what you mentioned, he's a specialist in building clubs. He did that with Brighton. You had a takeover with the PIF at Newcastle. You had to restructure. Newcastle was kind of similar, disorganized, dysfunctional club under Mike Ashworth. What is it called? Mike Ashley, wasn't it?
Yeah, Mike Ashley.
Yeah. So he came in there. So basically, what is his actual role? I mean, for people that don't know, because people are just looking at him as a recruitment.
Yeah, I mean, I think for Newcastle, it was very much a three-way thing. So we had Steve Nixon, who's our head of recruitment. We had Dan Ashworth as the sporting director. and then Eddie Howe. And in terms of transfer decisions and going for a player, I think they'd all have to sort of tick a box, so to speak, and agree on that for a player to come in. And I think the pull of Man United is, I'm not going to pretend Newcastle's bigger than Man United. Man United are bigger than Newcastle, but I think as well as that, you're giving him more power. I think I did a story a couple of months ago about he will go if he gets sort of promises about how much influence he's allowed. So presumably he's going to have a greater role. So, but obviously it's harder to determine unless you're in the meetings and stuff. It's hard to determine who's been his signing necessary, who's been Eddie Howe signing and stuff. So, but just very highly regarded in the business, like one of the best in the business you're getting. I think Newcastle fans are bitter, but I think I've seen a bit of this online about, we're asking for a compensation fee, and then Man United fans saying, oh, you're holding him to ransom. But I mean, I think that it's kind of, maybe I'm being biased, but I just think it's kind of fair enough. If we've got someone who's contracted, we want to, well, if you want him, let's say all transfers are essentially buying out of a contract. It's compensation to relieve someone of a contract, even if that's a player and stuff. So, sporting director, it's an unprecedented fee. I don't think there's been a sporting director who would go for 20 million, but Newcastle are in their right to ask it. I'm sure, if you had... There's a method to it, and I had a good conversation with somebody who's very close to Dan Ashworth, a Newcastle club himself, very highly respected within the industry. And he pretty much explained to me, yes, he's been put on garden leave. He put his resignation. It was the pulling power, Manchester United. It was, but they have the right to ask for that. It's treating like a transfer fee, but the crux of that was because when Newcastle poached him from Brighton, Newcastle actually paid 5 million for him. Yeah, sounds about right. Yeah, so so there is a clause to say that he's got to have 12 months garden leave or 2 transfer windows. But me, from my 20 years in global HR, in different capacity, I know my employee law, I know my employment contract, and when it comes to transfers as well, I've never seen anything like it before, to be honest. And normally, it would be a 6 months notice period. And when you go into a competitor, like in your employment contract, what you signed off with Newcastle, it will be a non-compete clause. In this instance, you're a football director and you're going to a competitor. So, of course, they're going to put him on garden leave, stripping him away from all the information, all the emails, because all of a sudden you are a risk, right? Yes, for sure. So does it make sense then? Because it was reported that Newcastle wants £50 million. David Ornstein was reporting that. I think it was Fabrizio Romano as well. Do you think it's fair, 15 million? And do you think Manchester United would pay up for it? Do I think it's fair? I mean, his general salaries was reported being £1.5 million per year, right? I think in sports and in Premier League in particular, I think you've got to have a degree of ruthlessness about it. I mean, it may not be fair to Dan Ashworth, and if he wants to go there, and it may be frustrating for Man United fans, but I think any club, and I say this about all the clubs, every club, if you're in employment there, you're in your right to ask what you want, and people do get frustrated about it. Oh, you're trying to keep him there and stuff like that, but he is under contract there. He agreed to move there, and the fact that, you are a close rival in terms of, imagine next season, this season, I mean, I think we're out of the race, but, theoretically Champions League and stuff. And that's, we're looking at Newcastle, we're looking at Man United thinking, we want to compete, and now you've got this buyout and stuff like that. So is it fair to Dan Ashworth? Maybe not. Is it frustrating for Man United fans? Yeah. But as a fan of Newcastle, I'm happy they haven't just rolled over. I'm happy that they've gone, do you know what? You can have him, but you're going to have to pay the price for it. And I suspect, if you had a top executive at your club, or say a good player, Kobe Manu or something, say Real Madrid went for him and Real Madrid offered £10 million, you wouldn't be happy if your club went, you'd be better if your club went, if you want him, you can have £200 million for him. Do you know what I mean? I know what you mean. And that gives me an indication that he's such a valuable C-level football director, since you're wanting that much. Because I can draw a comparison. You had this chief operating officer at Citigroup, Omar Barada, joining as a CEO. Yeah. He was put on a garden leave 6 months, right? Because contractually 6 months is normal, right? And you put on a garden leave, meaning you're sitting there doing nothing and collecting your paycheck until the termination date is set, But the thing is here,
I think that Newcastle has the right to play hardball, and I think, in my understanding from my conversation yesterday, is that I think the fee will land around somewhere around 7 to 8, maximum 10 million. It's a release clause at the end of the day. It's like a transfer window, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, no. I imagine there would be some sort of compromise with regard to it. And I say it is a long time. It is a long gardening leave, but I know people sometimes do that where they sort of compare football, elite football at the very highest to like a standard job and stuff like that. And yeah, of course, if it was just like, I don't know, someone in admin who wanted to move across and then this company's like, oh no, you can't. But we're talking about elite football.
Of course. If you will leave your job, like, at transfer.com, right? Footballtransfer.com to a competitor, of course they will put you on garden leave 100%. But if you will go to, let's say, Financial Times, it's not really a threat because you're not reporting on football transfers, right? So it's not a problem. But on that note, I mean, if you pay out that, let's call it for fun's sake, ransom fee, right? That means that you can cut his notice period to half, right? Because basically, Manchester United, they play right into Newcastle's hands. Like they know it. He wants to go. He gave his resignation. Now, I think the hand is with Newcastle to negotiate. So you want him? Okay, you pay up, right? If you pay up, maybe we can shorten down that notice period so he can be part of your summer transfer window. Yeah. I mean, what's your thoughts regarding that? Because this is the way I see it. This is what I see them negotiating the exit, like, I've never seen a company paying another company for the chief executive or something like that in my career.
Yeah, it's pretty unprecedented. I think as time will pass, and I think there'll become a point probably when the dust is settled. I think, you could argue maybe there's a bit of spitefulness to it and about how Newcastle's been going about things. But I suspect, say for instance, if they got Paul Mitchell or something in and the dust is settled a bit, maybe in a couple of months, it would be, as you say, meet somewhere in the middle with it. So at the moment, I think it's just a bit of reaction. It's pretty unexpected. It's pretty like a not very good time to, February. Like
100%.
Could be during the summer transfer window, I guess. But I think it's just kind of rocked Newcastle a bit, and to suspect that
he has. But I'm sure you have a plan to recruit the next sporting director, and then definitely there's going to go an assignment out to some of these agencies to find the next sporting director, which is going to take you about 3 months approximately, I think, to secure. Now at least.
Yeah, I think already there must be some sort of short list, and they would have had a meeting about it. I don't think they could have just rested on the laurels. Paul Giles, apparently, I saw reported in the Eye by Mark Douglas today. He's one. He's a Newcastle fan. He's been at Brentford since 2015, worked his way up. Paul Mitchell, which everyone was reporting myself. Sorry, Paul. Yeah, and was going to join.
What about Michael Edwards? He was linked to Liverpool. He turned it down.
Yeah, well, he rejected Liverpool. I think he'd be my absolute ideal. Like, I think he's probably the best in the business from what he did for Liverpool. But I think he's got other ideas or other plans, really. So it'd take a lot of convincing. But of course, I think you'd have that phone call. I think you'd have a conversation with Mark Edwards, and I think you'd, but it may be that he's just not interested right now. Maybe he wants somewhere at Real Madrid or something like that because he can probably do
something
that.
Bigger. Yeah. Now it was reported he wanted something bigger, but at the end of the day, Jack, you can understand then the frustration from a club level and from the fans. Like, you are on a path up, like, in terms of rebuilding, you get in the best in class, you organically investing. And how long has it been in the job? A little bit of almost a year and a half or so.
Yeah, but it's not been long. It's not been particularly long as well.
No?
I think he did, he was at Brighton for a couple of years at least. Roy Keane made the point about, do ManUtd want to assign someone who has got previous for just not being loyal. And I think that's a relatively fair assessment. I don't think there are many bigger clubs than ManUtd. I'd argue Real Madrid and probably Barcelona, but I don't think Barcelona are doing much at the moment. So there is that element to it. But yeah, for Newcastle, it's not just someone going; it's a rival taking, one of the cornerstones of their structure, and that's obviously not good. Make them happy. And Eddie Howe in his press conference, I found quite forthright about it. He didn't protect Ashworth. He didn't lend a hand. he was very much, if he wants to go, then he needs to just go. Because I found there's not much, and even in the statements, we thanked Dan for his time, but it wasn't very heartfelt, and you can probably feel
of course
a little bit of
pissed off.
resentment to it. Yeah,
I even saw the tweet accounts for Newcastle official account. It looked like they were pretty pissed off, to be honest.
Yeah, it wasn't. You can tell in statements, how much affection they it wasn't. Imagine when Jurgen Klopp leaves Liverpool at the end of the season and Liverpool put out a statement. It's not going to be the same as Dan Ashworth. He got we thank him for his time, and being kind of very basic about it, sort of thing. So, but yeah,
Jack. Do you really think Jurgen Klopp is going to leave, or was it a hoax to get his players?
He's going to go. Yeah, I don't think he's going to go.
I'm just joking.
He's play another season.
Imagine he wins the league and it's I'm just joking. You know what I mean?
It'd be but Fergie left when he won the league. I think it's a perfect opportunity, really. I think that he's been there for a long, long time. He's 2015. It took him 9 years now, and he's probably feel like he's done it there. And I don't know. I think he just wants a break, I guess. I don't know. You could do, because it's happened before. I mentioned Ferguson again. I remember him saying 2003 or something, wasn't it? Or saying he's going to leave at the end of the season. Then he was convinced by his wife, I think, that he should stay a bit longer.
He was, and 100%. Anyway, people, thank you for tuning in. We have beautiful, wonderful, the one and only Jacque Talbot. If you haven't known, Jack, how can people find you? And for first-time viewers, please explain what you do and who you are, and a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, sure. I'm a journalist which does transfer stories. I do it for a news site called Football Transfers. If you've ever watched or if you engaged with the site Goal back in the day, a lot of the editors there forged a news site, and I was employed as their first sort of correspondent. So my interest or my what I do is basically report on any transfer stories and stuff, and it's trying to deliver accurate information, basically. That's it, really.
Spot on. Now, I mean, your stories today that came out, I was like, Jack, we got to talk. To be honest.
I think it's one of those as well. It's an interesting line. I can't see both of them happening. I think it takes a huge, but it's just sort of like, don't sleep on this.
We have a question here. How does non-compete work? Is this why it's been reported United going to pay money to cut the time on the non-compete? I think, Mark, we just covered this just if we're back to tape 5 minutes ago, didn't we? They basically, I mean, it's unprecedented that you see a club negotiating for another club or employee negotiating for another employee for the CEO or CFO or whatever. It's never seen before, according to my opinion, my experience. So here is somebody that has 6 months, 12 months notice period. And what they're doing here is what we talked about potentially is to bargaining chip, to release that ransom fee, to say, we will give you 7, 8, 10 million, and he can come. We will release him within 3 months, right? That's what we talked about, Jack, right?
Yeah.
Please, people, go follow Jack. Later on, we will, unveil Jack's where to find Jack on Twitter and everything else. But if you're watching this video, please right now, please get your comments in the Q&A section, and we'll go over right now. Please also super chat if you want to support this channel by hitting that like button. It's so easy. You burn extra calories by smashing that like button. It's so important. Jack, moving on. Is Manchester United getting scary?
Yeah, no, I think so. I'm looking, especially as a Newcastle fan, I'm looking over my shoulder. I didn't like the fact you've got Sir Ratcliffe over Qatar. I think Qatar, I don't even know if that would have gone through. I'm not entirely sure. It seemed very sort of, I don't know. It was just a very bizarre move. But you spend money, which is fine, but you do everything else wrong. Traditionally, you do everything else wrong. You spend money, but everything else is absolutely atrocious. But now you can invest heavily, and you're getting some of the best executives behind you. You've got a new face in the footballing operations. You're going to become a sporting institution, which is going to look forward, and
finally,
no more £300,000 per week to people who don't need them. Martial being there for almost 10 years is just absolutely blows my mind. 10 years. Varane, Casemiro, okay, they do well and they have good 7 out of 10 matches and stuff. And Casemiro scores some headers and he got you the League Cup, in the League Cup final. But no other club in the world spends £75 million or £70 million on Casemiro. Gives someone £350,000 a week. of that age. It's just incredible. So it's very
no. From a United fan perspective, I'm a diehard fan, as you know. Like, you know, the reason per se is that, you know, it's been 10 years mismanagement since Sir Alex left and David Gill, of course, and you know, there's been managers after managers coming, going. Today was the latest report that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is linked to replace Thomas Tuchel as an interim, just in case. I don't know if you read that one. But it's never been a plan. It's never been a structure. It's been nothing above the manager's head to support the manager. You know, when you don't have a plan, a structure, a playing style, or vision, all you care about how much Benjamins you're going to cash in your bank account. No wonder that you're going to fail. I mean, if you remember the quote from Jose Mourinho that said, like, you know, coming second 2017 season and winning a Europa League was his biggest achievement. And he said, why? Because I had no backing or support, right? So having to said that, like, you know, I've been scanning for years what media and reporters are saying. And of course, when Manchester United has not been performing, it's been like a, you know, journalists has been made in a meal out of it. And recent per se, in a press conference, Ten Hag banned a certain type of journalist to be in the press conference to say, because of this said, when you're doing bad, we're actually loving it because we can print stuff, right? And that's what I'm saying. Right now, I'm reading that journalists are now getting really frightened. They are now saying, they've been saying it for years, that United need a rebuild, need a proper structure. And now they're saying, well, I read this Jonathan Levy, right, tweet. He was saying today that, oh, United is now recruiting celebrities, C-level celebrities. And like, what's it going to be? That tells me that rivals are scared. Journalists don't want Manchester United to succeed. You reckon we are, if things goes right, the way it's planned to be, that we are going to be a powerhouse again?
Oh, yeah, you're going to be. You're Man United. You have that pull. You got the football operations behind you. I'm still not fully convinced by Ten Hag. He may take I know you're in a good run of form, but you know, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has been in a good run of form. Marcus Rashford was in a good run of form last season. To make a good manager is consistency over the entire season, and Ten Hag has shown he's so far over almost 2 years incapable of doing that. So for me as a fan, I'm kind of clinging on. Like, for me, here we go. Like, I hope you keep Ten Hag. I hope you keep him because of that.
Yeah, I do understand.
He's not going to win you league. He will not win you league.
He's got 1 year left on his contract, though, so it's not going to be a contract negotiation for sure. It's led to believe that he's been given reinsurances, just finish top 4, give us top 5, give us Europa League, play every game like a cup game, and then we'll be talking this summer. But at the end of the day, everything will be assessed in the summer. It doesn't really make sense to give the manager a new contract right now, especially when you don't really have everything on board in terms of recruitment in the summer as well. So for me, I see it from a 360 holistic perspective, barring that everything that's been going on, Jack, like, you know, with the takeover, with all the scandals, the news, the Rashfords, the Sanchos and everything. And it's not easy to be a manager to manage everything. And I think that he was asked in the last presser when we played, I think it was, we played Luton away, and he had a presser and he asked the question about, you know, how are you embracing the Ineos coming in and helping you? And he said, well, nobody can do this alone. This is Manchester United, like, and it's impossible to do it alone. You got to be one team and on one page, and I've been doing this totally alone. So that was kind of a little bit of a dig. Fair play. But at the end of the day, summer comes. Let's play a little bit of fantasy. Like, okay, we know Omar Barada is coming. Okay, definitely, that's set in stone. You most likely look like Dan Ashworth is come as well. You have Wilcox as well from Southampton, right? What's his name? Sam. Is it Sam Wilcox?
I'm getting confused. It might be Jason Wilcox. It might be
Jason. Yes, Jason Wilcox. There was also linked to Omar Barada because he worked at Citigroup as well. Like, you know, he went to Southampton as a footballing director, but he's going to apparently be involved in the player development academy, right? And we were also linked to Sam Jewell, by the way, the young head of recruitment for Brighton. But I heard today that Sam Jewell is going to Chelsea.
Yeah, so, it looks like I think it's the 11th edition from Brighton, including players and executives in recent years. They're just sort of nicking everyone from Brighton at the moment for some reason.
Yeah, true. So I mean, Brighton is doing exceptionally well. I mean, the way they recruit, 100%. So I could understand that there is a link between, Sam Jewell and Dan Ashworth. But Sam was not the head of recruitment by my memory. There was somebody else there.
At Brighton?
Yeah,
I can't recall.
I can't recall either. So who do you think that's going to be the head of recruitment in that case if Sam is gone? Will it be somebody else like, can it be Michael Edwards? Can it be?
Well, at Man United, sorry.
Yeah.
At Man United,
can it be somebody from Dan Berada's, Omar Berada's black book, like, because obviously, like, you have also, what's his name, Jean-Claude Blanc. They have a, endless pool of potential candidates for recruitment.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, presumably, if Dan Ashworth becomes sporting director, as I mentioned before, Paul Mitchell,
Paul Mitchell, not Dan. Sorry,
yeah,
so many
could
names.
Be something that goes in there, but I'm not sure really in terms of head of recruitment who they'd look at. But imagine there'd be someone with a glowing CV nonetheless. I won't worry. I think you got him in, and you get Ashworth in, and then you just need to find someone else. And I'm sure it'll be someone good. Tiago Pinto is
somebody with a more broad network, like from grassroots leagues and stuff like that. Not just because you mentioned before, like he's brilliant, Dan Ashworth, when it comes to Premier League, like British talent and everything. But he's not doing recruitment. That's the thing, right? People need to remember that he's reporting directly to Omar Berrada, and his role is to set the strategy and vision that every single department is following. You have the academy, you have the women's team, you have whatever you have in the football operations. So it's basically the spider in the web, making sure that everything is following the cogwheel.
Yeah. He's so you'd have to I don't know in terms of like how it work entirely, because even there's things as like because I was actually at in Manchester 2 months ago, I went to a conference, and Dan Ashworth was one of the speakers there. It was the Training Ground Guru conference, and he was there, and Phil Giles was there actually, and he was on the headline, Dan Ashworth, and he was saying about, as you mentioned there, the intricacies of a job title, like a technical director being so much different to, I can't tell, I don't know what the precise difference is, but a sporting director and then a sports director or head of recruitment and this kind of thing, it gets kind of confusing, I suppose. But I think with those in place, it'd be good. I see what you mean. It's not just about having, domestically, you could say Dan Ashworth's one of the best, but maybe if you're looking abroad and stuff, maybe there'd be others that you'd want to look at. But I'm not entirely sure who.
Yeah, really. A close colleague of mine that he's worked very close to Newcastle. He worked very close with Dan Ashworth. Told me yesterday as well that he's got the finger on the pulse. He's a very humble gentleman. He's got the finger on the pulse. He's highly regarded due to, if you look at a club that needs to build, right, that is in turmoil, that's your man. But if you look at to recruit somebody that's already in a ready-made branding package, then he's not. That's not what Manchester United need. Manchester United has a persona profile. Basically, we need to build. Ineos, Dodgy Day, what people call in Dave Braille's world, came in, had an assessment, and they said, "What the hell happened here?" It looked like somebody just threw in a hand grenade, pulled the pin, and everything is a mess. And this needs to be rebuilt. And he's the man to do that. On the other hand, I was also told that Darren Fletcher will be gone. I was also told that John Murtagh will also be gone, because it's going to be a total clear out, in the entire director's operations. So nobody's safe. Even Patrick Stewart, there was the interim that took over after. He's also going to be gone. I'm going to do a special video. I don't want to talk too much about it, but I just got confirmation yesterday that it is a total structural rebuild, which for me as a fan, this excites me. Why? Because you have to build from the roof down to the slab, because everything needs to be aligned and communicate all the way down from the top down to the dressing room. And when everything is aligned, you have a better productive team. Everyone knows what to do. It's just the morale. That's the thing. Like, it's something called employer branding. You want to belong. You want to be engaged to the club. For years, it's been separated, detached, because the Glazers appointed people just to be toxic, just to make sure that the club is failing. As long as we made top 4, there was money in the bank, good to go, right? But that is all gone. That's going to be gone, and that's what excites me.
Yeah, you need to have that from. It needs to start from the top and trickle down. You need to have a philosophy in every working environment, and you'll find even if there's like a big conglomerate or something. I think Sports Direct had this about 5 years ago. It's a bit of a strange example, but all these Sports Direct stores had the same sort of philosophy, really, and the same sort of like issues of overworking people, and so that comes from people at the very top, and it does spiral down. That influence spirals down. It has a knock-on effect. So if people at the top are good, you typically find, I don't think there's many clubs you can use an example where the people at the very top are investing heavily and they want to invest with the club, and their philosophy is productive and it wins stuff, and you never really find that. And then on the pitch, it doesn't reflect.
Yeah, true. But one thing is for sure, like, United fans, you need to be patient. Like, Rome wasn't built in one day. Like,
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
The problem with United fans currently it's been split big because it's been that divide and conquer, fostered by the glazes. But at the end of the day, like, this rebuild excites me, and everyone needs to get on board. But you need to have patience. If you do a change management, you will set a three years vision plan. That's my experience. That's what I do for professional living. But you set certain milestones and achievable targets, what you have to do. So don't expect, like, the first summer to be a massive boost transfer window, I would say. And this is going to be transitioning to the next topic, because I want to, like, add this to the stage. This is from you, Jack. You told that Manchester United would spend heavily this summer under the guise of Ineos. Believed securing Europa spot could be a persuasive factor for the top targets to join. Kane, De Jong could be sounded out again, but there will be lingering.
Sorry, no, I meant to say no lingering. I missed the no on it. I had to add it, but there'll be no lingering. What happened with De Jong a couple of seasons ago, and just the waiting, and it just kind of almost ruined your window. Really, then you panic buyed on Casemiro because of how. If there's an opportunity there with Harry Kane and Frenkie De Jong, ManUtd still very much like them, and
so it's true. It's true.
Yeah,
the rumors never gone away. There was a club interest from Genuine. We saw that the summer when we were about to sign him. We saw that John Murta was flying over there. We saw it together with Richard Arnold as well. They were having wining and dining. And what happened was the financial levers, and they managed to keep, they pulled some loans, they sold some TV rights, and they managed to keep the squad, only to go deep in the Champions League, which they failed. And now they are in the financial shed again, ain't they?
They very much are. And I think there's still issues with Frenkie De Jong and the wages as well, which isn't good. I think it'll be a case of, these are people they like, and particularly with Ten Hag. But it's one of those, like, do you think, will it be feasible if they get Harry Kane or Frenkie De Jong? Probably not. But I think it's interesting to know, nonetheless, kind of thing, that they are.
No. I've been hearing the same. Even from Graham Bailey. Like,
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah. 100%. The interest has always been there, but it's just a matter of fact how you negotiate, because there will be a new stewardship. That is the old interest, 100% from the old guard. Like, there was negotiating the deal. Now you're having 100%, like, a new establishment that's gonna, tell the direction. So is it Frenkie De Jong is a hot prospect? What will be his salaries? I don't know. 500, that's too much for the current establishment to pay. We've seen that they want to cut down the wage bills. But what about Harry Kane, mate? Harry Kane, the curse of Kane, the trophyless Kane. Like, he left Spurs, went to Bayern. Hopefully he will win a trophy, sign a 3-year contract. Now, Bayer Leverkusen is 8 points clear, with Xavi doing their madness, right?
Yeah, I think it's just as well with the future of Tuchel and the fact that Bayern may need to sort of free up some stuff, and he's on a big wage there. Again, it's one, if an opportunity was available there, then very possible. I mentioned in the copy as well about the youngster Tell, and that was published in Sky Germany. I think it was, yeah. So he's someone actually that you liked for a couple of years. He tried to get him when he was at Rennes, but then he ended up going to Bayern. So that could be something as well. And I think he's after game time. But again, it's the fact of, because Tuchel hasn't been playing him that much, so he won't go on loan again. So,
yeah. But do you think Tuchel will be sacked? This is according to Bayern standards, you're almost getting knocked out of Champions League. You're sitting second in the league, 8 points behind Bayern Leverkusen. It's the first time if they drop off from Champions League and if they lose the title, it's the first one since 11, 12 years, because they've been winning consecutive in a row, and we know how ruthless they can be.
Yeah, I don't have any insight with regards to sort of buying and stuff, but looking on the outside, I think there'd have to be a huge uptick in a form for him to remain. It's not looking good at the moment, and it's pretty. Kane has moved at the wrong time. Looks like Bayer Leverkusen probably going to win it. They haven't even lost all season. I don't think in the Bundesliga. They're only unbeaten side in Europe's top 5 leagues, and the hammering wasn't really a hammering, but the loss to them last weekend, I think it's really put the pressure on Tuchel, and it's going to take a lot now, I think, for him to turn it around. Unfortunately,
yeah. People, I want to sort of bring this to the stage so you can go and read, Jacque's brilliant article that came out today. Fantastic piece of work, Jacque. You can go to footballtransfer.com and look it up for yourself and have a read. But you pretty much say here that I don't know. I kind of read it that you've been told in the return of Kane is not impossible, and Frenkie De Jong this summer. Plus fits when Ineos ambitions for the next summer. So, barring that, there's also Olise, Tell, what you mentioned, Edwards. It's preliminary in the summer, but I want to hear your take on it, because at the end of the day, Manchester United need to sell, right? So, who do you think? Because I've been hearing that there might be some big high wage shock that might leave the club. What have you heard in terms of outs?
Yeah, I mean, it's not as ruthless as we did a report in 2022, and it was really scathed at the time. It was about how ManUtd, under Ten Hag, they want to get rid of Harry Maguire, and at the time it was Wan-Bissaka, and get rid of Harry Maguire, Wan-Bissaka. There was about 11 players in total who they just wanted to get rid of. And I think De Gea was on there, but I'm trying to think back to the names that were just there. Palistri, I think, was one at the time, and stuff like that. Martial and stuff. And at the time, we're like, no, we got panned for it, but Ten Hag just wanted a certain type of player, and he felt that those players didn't have the personality. And then actually was a subsequent summer. Then it all came out and stuff. But this time around, the overhaul that Ten Hag's had in mind, I think it's been reduced because. And I think he seems like quite a nice guy, but I question his sort of, they don't back me in us and this kind of thing. I think they backed him a lot. I think like anyone who bought Anthony, no offense to Anthony, for 100 million euro, or like, I think they don't deserve to be complaining about anything. To be honest, it's just what a waste of money that is. So I think that he's, in terms of recruitment, I think they're going to strip that off him entirely. In terms of outgoings, it hasn't basically. What I'm trying to say, it hasn't been as solid as before. Whereas all these players that Ten Hag listed to move on, I think only a few of them went really during that the subsequent as well. If you remember, Scott McTominay was another we listed in 2022, and then it was the January when it all started to come out about Maguire and McTominay going from other outlets saying it as well.
But do you think they're going to stay, or do you think they're going to ship them off this summer? Like Maguire, Scott McTominay is doing really well.
It's depending on the contract. I don't know what Harry Maguire's contract is with Scott McTominay's. But
if you look at the contracts, like Harry Maguire is on 280 a week approximately.
So I mean the contract, the year of it when it's
yeah. Scott McTominay is cheap in terms of wages, so it makes sense to keep him. He turned a corner, obviously, as a super sub. Some people calling now super sub, the new Ollie, coming in. So from contractual speaking, in wages, he's not that expensive, so it makes sense to keep him. But from people that are earning everything above 150, I've been told they are not safe, right? Harry Maguire is one of them. I think they will move him on. I'm not sure. This is what I've been told. But I've also been told that certain players, they were trying to get rid of Martial. They had opportunity with Martial even to loan him out to Fulham and Everton, but the club said no.
But it's no striker at the time, really. You only had Højlund wasn't scoring. I don't know when this was, but you didn't have a striker other than that, really. Martial's proven the only one. I say extraordinary that he's been there for so long, and he'll finish his contract after maybe 10 years or whatever it'll be, or just under 10 years, and then go to, I don't know where he'll go. He won't get the same amount of money, but he's a testament.
No, he will go for free. He will go for free, and he will have a sign-on bonus. That's the thing. Right?
Yeah.
But the agency that I worked with worked hard to. They had 2 clubs lined up for Martial. I can speak about this freely. Like, they had 2 clubs lined up for Martial. I'm not going to tell you. I told you one. Everything was hunky-dory, but the club said no. Manchester United said no, and John Murtaugh said no, basically. He said no, right? When you're speaking about Anthony Dos Santos, I know the inside story, inside out of that story. Manchester United could have paid 35 million max, but it was all down to incompetency of I'm not going to, I mentioned his name before, YouTube algorithm, please forgive me, but it was sitting on his ass until the final week of the transfer window. And his agent, Dos Santos' agent, pulled a worldie, right? So they ended up paying 95 million euros, and 10% went to the mother clubs, Sao Paulo as well. 15%, I think. So they overpaid. This player has never been worth 90 million. And I can understand that this is something that the current establishment that will come in will have a look at and say, whoa. Because you remember they did Omar Barada is kind of ruthless when there was a report to say, like, people that are not performing within 2 years of the contract, we will ship them off, right? So I'm sure they will assess the entire squad. Dale Brailsford has been there with the, how do you call it? Mr. Death coming knocking on your door. What's your role? It's just not the player, the entire squad, but he's looking at the entire structure of the employees, because it's overinflated, overpaid. People don't like, what's your job description? I don't know. What's your job description as a technical director? Darren Fletcher, you have no CV. I don't know. Nobody knows what he's doing, right? And apparently the current football director don't do jack shit, to be honest. Sorry for swearing that, Jack.
That's all right.
Yeah.
Using my name in vain as well. No, I'm joking.
It's fine. Avoiding the YouTube.
It's a calamity, isn't it? The Darren Fletcher thing is just absurd. There's clearly stuff going on behind the scenes.
He got his twin sons in. He got his twin sons in, at least.
Yeah, I think Ineos seem to be making the right sounds and stuff and doing the right things. And I think the coup of getting Ashworth as well and Barada is astronomical. Right. And you can look to the future. And as I mentioned in the story, there's a lot of money to be spent. There's going to be a lot of money to be spent, apparently. And I think as well, if you do get certain players off the books, I think that's going to help massively as well with things. So I don't know.
Rashford will leave in the summer, what Curlis is saying. That's my hunch to this.
I don't think Rashford's good enough. And, it's one of them. He's a typical Man United player where he'll do 30 games, he'll score, do amazing, and then he'll sign a new contract and he's gone. And then his mind's gone. It's the same. It's the same. He's made of Man United DNA in the worst possible sense.
Yeah.
He's not good enough. There's no consistency to him. Luke Shaw, but it's just, again, Luke Shaw was great in 2020. Absolutely amazing, best left back in Europe. But
I think it's time to ship them off. Like, Luke Shaw is.
I agree.
It's not sustainable anymore. He's injury prone, and the one that I see him being his understudy is playing at Benfica on loan, and he's a brilliant left back. Alvaro Fernandez, 100%. Like, I think I can see that. You don't spend any money. You have somebody that's already yours. Luke Shaw, I'm sorry, it's time to go, I think. And Rashford is so dependent with Luke Shaw overlapping and underlapping. And as what you said, it's what I heard as well. As soon as he signed that contract, he held the club for hostage and said, that's it. I'm on a pretty sweet wage, 350K a week or 300K a week. I ain't going to do nothing. And I also heard that he was very close with Jadon as well. So he didn't really appreciate the treatment of Jadon. He went on this tequila lash in Belfast, and if it was Sir Alex Ferguson in charge, he would never seen the foot of the day, like in the light of the day on the club, to be honest, right? He would be given the massive hair dryer treatment. He would be bold for life. Yeah,
no, absolutely. I think that's, Shaw's injury record isn't the best, and sometimes you just got to be ruthless. I just saw a comment coming. Ineos mentioned multiple times they're not going for expensive old players. For the most part, they want young English talent, but they want to blend that out as well with Premier League experience. And if there's a deal paying for £70 million in the summer, someone who can guarantee them 30 Premier League goals, maybe play even behind Hoyland, then that's the idea. But I said I don't think it'll happen, but if it's available. But it's apparently a blend of not just getting young players in and develop them. Going to be the onus, but also some Premier League experience there as well.
Can it be a blend of spending a little bit big on like Kane and De Jong, and then getting a mix of blend of younger talent, unheard talent kind of thing?
I think so. I think through the academy and stuff, that's where the focus.
Yeah, through the academy, invest more in the rejuvenate, Kobe Mino and all the stars.
Oh yeah, fancy players like that. That's what you want, really. Players just coming through, and it's obviously cheaper as well. And if they reach a level which is sort of like not quite good for ManUtd, but quite good for like an Everton, then you make a profit off it as well.
It's interesting because I've been pointing out for quite a while, because I see a generational makeshift, and I see that the United Academy that's coming through now, the under 18s and the reserves, and are probably, according to my opinion, equal to class of 92, right? We have really good talent. That means that you don't have to spend a lot of money in this summer. Like if you look at Kobe Mino, he plays like he's 25, 18 appearances. This type of player, if you go to the market with this character, like if you look at Casado, like you look at Declan Rice, it's like Enzo Fernandez. They went for 100 million and they bought them for what? Cheap, 7-8 million euros.
Yeah,
but, United just saved themselves 100 million on the market by just having an in-house talent coming through. So I see that, Jack, that I see that you have potential talents that are out on good loans that will come back in the summer, and then they will assess it, and then we'll see, well, you're good to go. We don't have to spend much money, and we can spend more money on potentially Harry Kane, potentially a FRENKIE De Jong.
Yeah, I think is a better way to go about things. 100%. That's where the money should be in the academy players, rather than buying players who are 29 years old for ridiculous wages and stuff. It's just actually it's reached desperation a bit, and there's nothing wrong with just biding a bit of time. I mean, ManUtd can't be Brighton, but at the same time, having a bit of Brighton influence, I think it's proved not to be a bad thing for them at all.
Jack, a little bit conscious of time. I don't know how much time you have left. I know you're packing, you're traveling, right, today?
Going down south and going to Tenerife on Sunday, yeah. So I'm really looking forward to having a break from.
Have a break.
The north.
Have a break. Have a break. Have a Kit Kat.
Have a break. Have a Kit Kat. Exactly. Yeah. Have a lovely holiday. I've got loads of holidays this year. Didn't really do much last year, but this time, so I'm really looking forward to
enjoy yourself. You should have booked a ticket to Phuket, Thailand. Come and visit me, mate.
No, see, to go to Thailand. Is that 22 hours? Isn't it?
Right. It's too far, isn't it?
2 hours, 22 hours or something.
Come on, eh? No, it's not. Depends on you flying from London, then you can fly to Qatar, Dubai, Emirates, and then you have a 6-hour layover flight. It's about 12 hours approximately.
Oh, that's not as bad. Maybe it's Australia that's 22 hours then. Yeah, 12 hours, not too bad. Not too bad.
Anyway, I want to pick your brain before we go, right? Let's do the hardometer. All right, Jack, I'm going to test you right now regarding, we spoken about the outs. Now we're going to talk about the potential ins, as what you mentioned in your article. There might be spendings. If we start at right centre back, United, what I've been told, has been linked to Euro, Silva, Todibo, and Tapsoba. Out of all those four, which do you think will be the hottest on the summer transfer window? Euro, Silva, Todibo, or Tapsoba?
Silva.
Yeah.
Antonio Silva. Silva. I thought Thiago Silva's going to go ManUtd.
No. Thiago, come on, this one is old.
I think Antonio Silva, to be honest, because of his age. I think he's a prestigious. Yeah, it's gone quiet a bit on that. It's gone very quiet.
Well, not about this Todibo that was like an Ineos player, like from Nice. We're heavily linked with him.
It's the player flapping his gums all the time. Just flapping his gums all the time. And partly Nice flapping their gums is trying to get him a move. It's just how many windows we've had him going to move and ManUtd are going to make a bid. It's just rubbish. It's just rubbish. I like him and stuff, but a lot of that is just the player wanting to get out of Nice and the Nice wanting to get a nice 40 million quid for him, So, and it's been 3 windows now. We've heard all this stuff about him, and it's just he's still there. So I think someone like Antonio Silva is about 20. I don't know if he's even 20 years old yet. Maybe he's just turned 20 years old. I think that's going to be much better. And we're thinking about the relationship between Benfica and ManUtd as well. So,
yeah, good. There's one centre back that caught my eye from Luton, and that's Lokonga.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. Yeah,
He's
I
very
wonder.
good.
Lewin have been. Hopefully, they stay up. I think they will stay up. I think they're really impressive. Lewin,
I
100%.
really was impressed with Conga, especially and the goalkeeper Kaminsky as well was amazing as well. Especially when we played Luton. I mean, Lakonga, he run his socks off. He was everywhere. Like, he's fast, explosive. So I'm surprised that nobody's looking at him at the moment.
For sure.
So cool. You think it's gonna be Silva in that case?
Yeah, I think that makes more sense. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Left centre back, we are linked to Iñárritu and Brent White from Everton.
Brent White, 100%.
Brent White, 100%.
Yeah, 100%.
British, homegrown talent.
Young, I think he's going to be in the England squad, and I think he'll be a starter for England in the coming years. I think he's exceptional. I think he's a world-class talent, to be honest. Yeah.
What about Onana, Fofana, or Weifer?
Onana of Everton as well. Onana.
Yeah. Not Onana. What's my name? Onana.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think Onana. Yeah.
Onana. Yeah, Everton. If Everton gets relegated, there'll be a lot of bargain players to pick up them.
There would be. I think they're going to struggle anyway, even if they stay up. I hope they don't get relegated. I quite like them as a club. I think they will. I haven't looked at the table for a while.
Do you reckon they get hard done? They were collaborating with the Football Association, right?
I mean, I try and that sort of stories and stuff is part of the reason I just don't really engage with football anymore, because I just find it so heavy now. I remember watching football and it used to be really fun. I watch Match of the Day and see some great goals and volleys and stuff, and there's a bit of funniness. Like, remember Kieran Reid nutmegging Danny Mills after Danny Mills had been like at more game. I used to love that, and nowadays it's like I can't engage with football without a club are corrupt. Or someone's battered their girlfriend.
The VR is corrupt.
It doesn't matter. I can't be asked. I was watching UFC and fighting at the moment. I find football so fucking boring now. And
yeah, it's okay. You can swear, because I feel the same. I think football is dying, and I think that referee wants to become players at the moment. They want to be in the limelight. VR in all glory is there for the clear and obvious, but Jesus Christ, you look at some of the decisions that you wonder, what the hell are you on about? If you look at, yellow cards can lead to, suspension. You get 5 yellow cards, you're suspended, right?
Yeah.
Over the weekend, Casemiro got a yellow card, and that was not even a yellow. That was the softest thing I ever seen, right? He was going like, you have agenda against me? What the hell is going on? And then you see Kobe Mainoo clearly going and not even touching the player, but just going for the ball. A proper slide tackle, ball first, takes down the player after, gets a yellow as well.
Yeah, I mean, the decisions aren't the best, and VAR hasn't helped in any way. It's just created more confusion, really. I think that, I see some decisions and people will say, if they're clear Liverpool fans or something, then they'll be like, oh, the referee's done us over there, or Spurs fan, oh, they've done us. But they'll never say it when it's against their team, and that's what I always find suspicious. It's never, VAR was wrong then, and it was actually my team that happened. And so I don't actually believe a lot of people care about whether VAR gets the right decision. I think they care more about if the decisions go in favour of their side. And it is so contentious and stuff, and that's why I don't go on Twitter anymore. I don't engage with it. Like, I'll go on my laptop and stuff like that. I just find it dull.
No, I totally hear you. And the thing is, what about this extra minutes they're adding on? They even try to sort of introduce the blue card, the Simbing card. Like, come on, man, what's going on here?
It was 2 minutes of a game against Luton. They got 2 minutes added on the same. I think it's against you guys.
How did they calculate? All of a sudden, I've seen 9 minutes, 10 minutes, and all of a sudden, how did it get 2 minutes? Like, please be a little bit more transparent. For me, it seems like it's an entertainment. Like, they want to milk as much entertainment as much, and they want to influence the outcome, right?
Yeah, but I mean, possibly could be some of that. I don't know. As I say, for me, it's just a different game now. It's just a different game. It's not a game that I grew up and enjoyed. It's not football. It's not even football anymore. When you talk to someone about football now, it's around refereeing decisions. It's about Everton.
Yeah, it shouldn't be about that. That's what I'm saying. A referee wants to be in the limelight. It shouldn't be about discussing referee decision. You should discuss about the goal, the game. Now we're talking about, there was never a pen, there was never an offside. They're doing the marginal, like in a CSI New York forensic, like, Harry Maguire's little toenail is fractional ahead of,
Yeah, no, 100%. It's just I think for me, refereeing should be an art form, and I think referees should have a license to allow certain games to flow and sort of calibrate their decisions in favour of the game. If it's like a Merseyside derby, I like to see a bit more heavy-handedness, and referees, it should be an art form, and they should be allowed to make their But the intervention of technology and stuff, it's just shit.
Brilliant, Jack. I'm going to continue on we got sidetracked there. Like, I think we have about 6 minutes left of the stream. Centre midfield. We talked about De Jong. Doubtful on this one, or are you 50-50 on that one?
I can't see it. Again, it's just one of them where it's just sort of like, if there's a deal to be done there, I think that there's going to be too much mucking around. There's so much stuff around the wages and stuff. Barcelona will just make things very, very confusing. I think if you get Champions League, we could have a different conversation. I include that in Kane as well. If you get Champions League this season, then things can start opening up. But outside of that, I can't see it. I think, De Jong, maybe like a City. So we'll get Champions League.
Neves, Andre as well. I think Neves, that's the young kid, right? Neves, not Benfica Neves, isn't it?
Juan Neves, and Benfica number 6, possibly again Mendes player, with Andre, he will move to the Premier League, and you made a general inquiry, but there's nothing more than that. So I don't know what the situation is there really. I think it was just in case Casemiro left, that was it. But
do you think Cas will leave?
Yeah, I mean, it's silly I can't see him staying on that much. I think Ineos will try and get rid of him as much as possible. I think they'll be having
him and Varane, you reckon?
Yeah, I'd imagine so. And even if they don't, I think it's
I don't know. I'm a little bit conflicted. He's got 2 years left on his contract, Casemiro. He's senior pro. You still need to have some seniority and leadership there, right? So I don't see any resale value in Casemiro. On the other hand, Varane, I love Varane. I love him. The Rolls-Royce Varane. 1 year left on his contract. They're not going to, offer him extension. There's been talks about staying but reducing your wage bill, and if you're a player, you're looking, why should I reduce my wage? I can go to play in Saudi League or whatever. So he will be potentially one of them that will ship off in the summer.
But with Varane, you're paying him, I think it's 300 again, so you're talking about
300. Casemiro 350, the highest wage earner.
£50 a year on Varane, and he will play probably about 25 games a minute, less than that. So it's just, if you want to spend and then not get the money for him, which could be like 10 million euros or something, it's 25 million pounds.
And this is exactly like Luke Shaw is on close there to 200, close to 200 mark. You got to look at the ratio, how much are you available to pay versus how much you're getting paid per week as well. So based on that, you can slash it down, right? Finally, I want to go into the striker position. Of course, we spoke about Kane. We spoke personally what I believe Kane will return back to Premier League, but will Manchester United pull that lever? Not sure. You said it in your article, there might be. So at the end of the day, it's all coming down to whoever comes in the summer, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think it depends what happens to Bayern as well and stuff. I think it's a very outside chance. But it's obviously interesting when you hear stuff like that and you give it to your audience and people who follow the club, and that's what it's about, really. It's probably a bit of a non-starter. But if certain things go a certain way, if you get Champions League, if this whole situation of Bayern spirals out of control,
everything is down to the Champions League money. That is so important to get, actually, to be honest.
Yeah,
no, 100%. 100%. So, okay. Right wing, Michael Olise, Crystal Palace, hot or not?
Olise, yeah. I think that's certainly one. Release clause is quite low, about £60 million as well. I think he's, in fact, I'd say out of all the players linked to the United, I think he'd be the most likely to sign for you. I don't know what will happen with Anthony. Obviously, he's just going to have to suck it up, basically.
I think Anthony will be gone, to be honest.
I don't know who's going to take on the salary, and I don't know how he's not that much, to be fair.
To be fair, like he will be a Barcelona player. He's more fit for the La Liga than actually the Premier League. That's my opinion, right? It's too light. One player that we are linked to, and one player that I really like is Wolves player Pedro Neto.
Yeah, he's been linked to Liverpool Liverpool and Arsenal as well. But again, it's his injury record last season. He's had a really good season, but Portuguese, looks like a good player. It's one of those. I don't know. Maybe it's like United shouldn't be move away from Pedro Neto's and stuff like that. I know I'm being kind of critical there of Olise, but find the next Pedro Neto at a lower cost. Find the next Michael Olise. But yeah, Neto is Liverpool, maybe Arsenal. Steve K did our story on our site about that. Yeah.
Fair enough. We'll find out in the summer as we approach the summer windows. But if you look at a development of Rasmus Højlund, that is rock solid. We paid £70 million for him in the summer. Young striker, 21, just turned 21, but he's on a trajectory. Me personally, I want to protect him. Right? I don't want to burn him out. But he's absolutely built for the Premier League. What a stature, what a body. I think he's about 6'4" tall. The hold up of play, the link up. He's a complete striker. He can create, opportunities for himself and score. Can header. He can link up the play. I mean, why would you go out and buy a Harry Kane in that instance? When you already paid 70 million for a Højlund.
Well, you have Martial go, and then you have Højlund.
Yeah, of course. That's 350. That's 300 of the wage bill. 300. Boom.
We know Harry Kane can play a bit deeper as well if need be. So it could be in there. So you get Champions League as well. So you got League Cup, FA Cup, Premier League, Champions League. I don't think if you're a club who wants to compete, you put that all on. It's not fair to put it on Rasmus Højlund. Yes, he's having good form at the moment, and I think when I watch his Champions League games, even at the very start, he looks phenomenal. I think there's a world-class player there. However, he didn't score in the Premier League for the first sort of 12 games or so. There is that element. It's not like he's been consistent throughout. He's hit his 8 goals in 8 games now. Been a good run of form. Is that going to maintain? And are you prepared to be like, that's just going to... Are they prepared to be like, that's just going to... score 50 goals a season now? I think it's a lot of pressure. He's still very young. He's still very raw. I think you may have one of the best strikers in the world there in a few years. I think he's...
I think so too. I can see that too.
And as a Newcastle fan, I think he's better than Alexander Isak. I think he's...
100%.
I think he could even be better than Haaland. I know it's a big thing. I honestly think he could be better. He could be better because he's multifaceted. Haaland isn't multifaceted.
Yeah. No, Haaland is not. Haaland is a totally different. He's a robot, according to my opinion. It's just a robot.
He's scoring the thing. He goes to Man City, who creates about 5 XG a game.
Yeah, but he's got to reach close to 65 million, and I think he will go to Real Madrid end of the day.
He's finishing his clinical Rasmus Højlund against Copenhagen in the first leg, and I think he's just absolutely phenomenal player, and I'm not taking that away from him. I always thought the decision to spend that much money on him was short-sighted at the time. It's turned out to be quite true, unless you suddenly get Champions League and that, but I don't think you're putting it to chance. And if Harry Kane's there for £70 million,
100%. Yeah, no, I agree. Nobody would say no to that, 100%. But if you look at Højlund, he scored 5 goals in the Champions League. And that is all in all 15 goals. This short. I mean, he didn't really kick on until Christmas or something like that, or just before. But he started really to kick on his Premier League goal scoring tally. That's 8 out of 8 consecutives, and he's kind of the youngest player that scored 6 consecutives in the Premier League. The one that held the record was Anelka, 1998. But hey,
awesome.
Yeah. Hey, but there's still 12 Premier League games to go, and there's FA Cup as well. So we will see. We will see. But my vision, maybe I see it differently. I like a Harry Kane, more of experience, but at the same time, I don't really want to sort of slow down the development of somebody that's really kicking and hitting up the form for Manchester United. So I see Williams, Nico Williams, potentially, Xerxes, as what you mentioned, Tell. But there's one player. I mean, if you look at Williams, Xerxes and Tell, is that concrete links or is it just paper talk?
Tell is someone you've liked before. Xerxes is not a name I've heard. I'm not saying it's not true or anything like that. It's just
it's been on the paper talks.
Well, it's always in conjunction when they start playing well and they're at Bologna or something. The agent may go, well, actually we're at Bologna and he scored 8 in the last 10. Why not speak to a reporter? So you just don't know really. It's one of them things. It's like, do players in transfer reporting, it's like I see reports sometimes. It's like I'll just find an example of like I don't know, Real Madrid like Harry Kane, and it's like, yeah, but like, of course they do. He's like one of the best strikers in the world.
100%.
They want to strike it. It's almost like I find them stories just a bit too. And so when a player starts to do well, and it's just like, I don't know, it's hard to navigate really. But there's a lot of facets to it, isn't there? When there's a transfer story and for a deal to go through. So Xerxes, I don't know. He's in good form, but I don't think he did very well, did he, in Germany?
No. True. At the end of the day, I've spoken to you about this before. I'm a big advocate, big fan, and even it's you know who I'm going to talk about right now, do you?
Yeah, with Greenwood. I mean, I just don't think it's
no, not Greenwood. Oh. Yeah, okay, you can mention Greenwood, but do you think he will be sold in the summer? Do you think that Manchester United would?
So yeah, I don't think Ineos are going to. Just in terms of PR and stuff, like it's just not viable. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there's one player that I've been banging the drum and speaking about for over a year, and even Graham Bailey. I mean, last time I had you on the show, I mentioned it. Manchester United has been heavily scouting him for 2 years. They're absolutely in love with him. The only problem is that you have scouts out there giving you the report, but nobody is actually there to, it's like a Chinese mail. Nobody picks up, right? And there's Benjamin Sesko, right? Benjamin Sesko is available for 45 million euros, I believe, in the summer, release clause. Do you see that there's going to be competition? Chelsea's looking at a striker. Arsenal's looking for a striker. I see it more for you develop a system, and when you do substitution rotation, you similarly want something like for like replacement. And Benjamin Sesko, you saw him at the Champions League, Leipzig versus who was it?
Did they play Man City?
Yeah. Oh no, I don't remember. It's too much information right now going through my head. But he got absolutely robbed. They went down 1-2, I think it was. But he's raw, he's talented, but he's a similar trait to a Højlund. And people saying, I've been saying that, I've been scouting him. He's going to be the next, world beater striker, next to, similar to Højlund and Harry Kane and Haaland. So I think that if you're going for that young development,
go
for something more younger than getting a Harry Kane that's going to cost you 100 mil, 70 mil, whatever,
Yeah,
depends on longevity. You know what I mean?
Yeah, playing second fiddle to Lewis Apinda at the moment as well. So yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, but you haven't heard anything regarding that one? Maybe it's just me getting some other information as well from Sesko's side.
No, nothing I've heard at the moment. It's not to say it's not true or anything like that. It's just not something I've heard myself. So yeah.
Right. Brilliant, Jack. Thank you. We have gone over extra time, people. That happens. It's VR's fault. Sorry. You know what I mean? Extra time. 9 minutes added on extra time. Listen. Is there anything else that we're missing? I think we've done everything. I think we spoke about, the importance of Dan Ashworth. What does it do? What he will bring to the club, to Manchester United. We spoke about the potential overhaul, the ins, the outs. Brilliant, guys! If you're watching, please don't forget to like and subscribe. We have some Q&A, some questions that people have been asking. Sorry, we haven't been neglecting you in the VR chat room. It's when we have limited time. It's not often that me and Jack can catch up and speak about these things. Very busy. I know you having a great holiday. But at the end of the day, people, Jack, promote yourself a little bit. How can people follow you?
On Twitter at JAC_Talbot, TALBOT. I'm relatively active on it. So that's where you'll see my stories come. So yeah.
I will pin that in the video description afterwards as well. I will put your tweet in the description and pin that in the chat. Producer Mark, do we have any questions before we close the shop? Let me see. See if we have anything. We have our producer Mark in the background. Yeah, let's see. Curlis87, sorry, huge. No Frenkie De Jong and his refusal to come to United more than once. Time to be moving on to other targets that want to actually play at United. How did I read this one? Well, how do we know that he doesn't want to play for United? That's the thing, right? It's.
I disagree with the comment. I don't think people realise how much football players don't care about your club.
True that.
Unless you're Gary Neville, unless you're Roy Keane, unless you're Frank Lampard of Chelsea, they don't care about your club. They don't care. And this idea they have to want to be at Man United, no, they just need to be happy and playing in an environment where they can achieve trophies.
That's it.
All those players and stuff, they don't care. Unless you're brought up in the area, unless you've been there for 20 odd years.
That's interesting because we did a podcast about this yesterday. We had Phil Marsh on yesterday, ex-United player. Brilliant 2-hour podcast. But he actually said that, when he played in in 85 or 86, 87, no, hang on. Maybe it was the 90s as well. Too much information going on through my head. Back then, there was no social media. Nowadays, it's all branding. People don't really care who you play for as long as you have, a fat paycheck. Whoever pays the money, it's a job. It's a work.
It's a job, and the players want the best for them, and they want the best. They want the highest salary. They're all the same. All players, because it's their job, and that's what they do. It's like when Casemiro neglected Liverpool, went to Chelsea, and everyone's like, "Do you know with Liverpool? He doesn't care. He's from Ecuador. He wants to maximize his money for his family in Ecuador. They don't care.
They don't care.
They will say that all the time. Every single one. I can't wait. I'm so happy I joined this big club. I'm so happy to be. It's just rubbish. All you need to worry about is them playing well. Bruno Guimaraes this season kissed the badge from Newcastle. He's going in the summer. He just signed a contract with a release clause. They don't care. So if you don't want Frankie de Jong, even though he'd be propelled,
where is he going, Bruno Guimaraes? I love Bruno Guimaraes.
Probably top 6. I don't know. Maybe Man United. I don't know. Like he won't be a Newcastle.
Bruno Guimaraes, bring him on.
His agent will offer him out. He's got a release clause there. He wants to go to Barcelona, but they can't afford him. Real Madrid don't need him. So I imagine it'll be someone like Liverpool, Chelsea, Arsenal, something like that, probably.
Bonus material. How much is his release clause?
£100 million. Even £16 million euros, sorry.
Oof. Wow.
He's a great player. He's probably the best, most talented.
He's my favorite midfielder, like in Premier. Bruno Guimaraes, 100%.
Exactly, exceptional. Yeah.
No, it's true, man. That's what you're saying. Because nowadays players just play for the fat contract. That's it. Once you get paid, you get complacent, whatever.
Well, no, it's not saying that the players, that means they're rubbish and they're just money hungry. They enjoy playing, but I just say that players will perform well and they'd flourish
when they're happy.
In a happy environment. If they get on the manager, they get on the players, they're happy with the location and driving to work and stuff like that. Or they're playing in the Champions League. That's when they're happy, and the pay is, obviously a factor because it's a job.
Yeah. It's brilliant.
We're under as fans, and I get it, but this illusion that like Bruno, Alexander Isaac, if Real Madrid come, of course he'll go. He's playing for Newcastle. Man United are a big club and stuff, but they don't.
Yeah, no, you even got Tonali, which turned out to be a fiasco at the end of the day. That proves that you can attract players to the right project, but if you also the salary is okay, right? Manchester United currently under this redevelopment will be a huge pulling power because hey, we mean business. That's what we're saying. That's why you ask, is Manchester United getting scary? You said, hell yeah, it is, right? So will he go for 100 million? I don't know. That's too much money, right? That's too much money. Ed Barrett is coming in, one of our members. Job titles are less important than responsibilities given to holders of a position. Ed Woodward was our CEO, and I hope Omar Barada's responsibility are different. Yes. But you also have Jean-Claude from Blanc in the background there, from Ineos Sporting, calling the shots as well. So, 100% Ed Barrett. Any other questions, guys, before we have to thank our beautiful guest here as well? It's been brilliant talking to you, transfer football in general. I mean, I can't echo more what you're saying, that football is dying, and I've been feeling a little bit under the weather, like with the blue cards and VRs and everything. Yeah, it's always good to talk about transfers in other clubs as well.
Sure, definitely. It's just become something that it was good up to about 5 years ago, and it's just turned, and I just find it's not the same, and it's just completely different. So I haven't hardly watched a game this year. I think I've probably watched collectively about an hour of football this year, unless non-league I watch, and I play 11 aside and stuff. So in that sense, and I'll probably watch probably like Bundesliga and stuff, and I know, but it's just Premier League in particular. I just find
honest to God, mate, I love Premier League football. I love football
Yeah.
in general, right? But I've been super busy. Yeah, I can't lie. The ones that I do catch up with United games, and occasionally when Newcastle plays, and where the big games as well. But I don't have time. Right? That's the thing.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah, Amir Ibrahimov, one of the youngsters in the under 18s. He's apparently a talent cooking. I don't know if you heard about him.
Never heard of him. No,
Never heard of him.
Never heard of
Could
him.
do some research. Anyway, guys, beautiful people, thank you for tuning in. We got to thank you, Jacque, as well for coming. Listen, you just switch off. Go to what's it? Mallorca? No, Las Palmas. No, Gran Canaria.
Sorry, yeah, Tenerife. Yeah,
Tenerife.
Yeah, near.
Do a Rashford. Go on the lash. Tequila, 20 shots. Okay, and don't forget the worm. Arriba.
Don't forget the worm, of course. Yeah. So yeah, looking for. I hope you come back with a bit of a tan as well. So yeah,
you will, bro. Ladies and gentlemen, people, thank you so much for tuning in. Don't forget to go and follow Jacque Talbot on his socials. I will pin his contact details in the description. This has been full 90 minutes almost. Actually, 1 hour and 15 minutes of pure football transfer talks. Anyway, please don't forget to like and subscribe to this video, and we shall see you to the next one. Thank you, Jacque, for coming in.
Thank you very much for having me. Have a lovely day.
Take it easy, guys. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.